Hey, Kabi here. Today I'm going to present some ideas for overcoming the difficulty curve of KF2 and explain some fundamentals for players who might be struggling at the higher difficulties. I only started playing since the Epic Games launch, and for those of us who are relatively new to the game, I think I have a solid 3-step approach to getting better. The game and its level system are designed to make you choose one perk and then stick with it until you max it out. It encourages players to play at the lower difficulties at lower levels. The problem with this is if you've played a lot of FPS games before, you'll find that KF2's normal and hard are basically unlosable. In my opinion, learning by playing normal and hard are really inefficient ways of doing that, because the zeds damage and attack patterns are widely different at higher difficulties. So really every player should aim to win 6-man Hell on Earth or Suicidal games. If you're under level 25 and need a quicker grinding method, I recommend going offline on solo endless and running a map till wave 10. Nuked is probably the easiest map for this if you find yourself dying in every other map. Not only is this method an efficient way of gaining XP, it will teach you more about routing through a map and how to take down large zeds. If you can get to wave 10 on hard, then try Suicidal. If you can get to wave 10 on Suicidal, try Hell on Earth. Once you hit level 15, I would start playing in real online Suicidal servers to acclimate yourself to the teamwork aspect of the game. If you're thriving in Suicidal, go ahead and try Hell on Earth. I may be biased as an inverted brain public lobby player, but field medic is crucial for any lobby that has 4 or more players. From experience, a lot of players hate switching off their main perk to field medic if their lobby doesn't have one. Some might switch off just to completely forget about healing their team. So learning to be a field medic that prioritizes being a medic is something that can really increase your success rate and your team success rate as well. I really recommend learning it at least as a secondary perk. So if nobody else is in the lobby is playing field medic, it's a perfect opportunity to practice it or get better at it. I mean, there's this perk tier list here. It's still kind of accurate. Honestly, whatever perk you choose has to do with what role you have the most fun with. If you like using a certain type of weapon, and if you like the skill tree that perk offers, I'll suggest just learning it, because there's no point in learning a perk if you're not going to have fun playing the game as that perk. The only perk I would recommend against taking is Survivalist, because it just doesn't really excel at anything. But if you become a god at the game, feel free to take it. It seems that the way the game is currently with the weapon meta and the loadouts, every perk can basically cross outside of its role. But I would still keep these vague groupings in mind when you're looking at what perk to choose to support your team. So really there's 3 main categories, right? For players that should be taking down large zeds, we have the perks Demolitions and Sharpshooter. And what are large zeds? Well, it's simple. Scrakes and Flesh Pounds. These are the zeds with the most health and coincidentally the most damage potential. For trash, which you can consider to be pretty much everything else, the Firebug, the Commando, the SWAT, and the Field Medic. Obviously the Field Medic is also going to have to focus on healing the team, but for the rest of those perks, you should really be focusing on trash mostly. Now for generalists, these perks are meant to be good at taking down large zeds and trash. Gunslinger, Support, and Berserker all can be considered generalists, perks that can handle both large zeds and trash. Generalists, it's really situational, right? Whatever is the biggest threat at that time. While you're leveling up, it's important to take the time to learn the ins and outs of your perk. For example, for Commando, you need to learn how to extend Zed time by spacing out trash kills. So during Zed time, you want to leave trash Zeds alive and space out your kills like around every 3 seconds so that you can extend Zed time as long as possible and help your generalists and large Zed killers take down large Zeds and help everybody kind of get their bearings straight and utilize their buffs effectively during Zed time. When it comes to loadouts and public lobbies, it's important not to specialize too heavily. This means taking weapons and skills that have the potential to kill both trash and large Zeds. For example, for field medic, I usually go with the heal thrower and the incision. The incision debuffs large Zeds and with enough skill can even take them down solo without help. The heal thrower is amazing at keeping a cluster of players alive while killing trash that slips through, like the spiders and the stalkers. Honestly, every loadout is situational in a way. This may not be your preferred loadout, but it's important to experiment. I mean, it's a game, so definitely experiment with what you can have fun with while also contributing to your team. The fact is that every weapon is situational, but some are generally more useful than others. You're going to just have to figure that out by trial and error, or there's several resources online with suggested loadouts. Coming to my second main point is priorities, alright? Killing Floor 2 is a game about on-the-fly decision making. I would say the concept boils down to 2 fundamentals, mobility and damage.
Or in other words, moving and shooting.
KF2 is designed more for kiting zeds than the previous game, and most maps are made so that you can't just hold one spot. Most big lobbies try to hold out, because done well in a map with a broken spot, the game almost becomes mind-numbingly easy. For example, the turbines on Containment Station. Farmhouse also in Farmhouse also comes to mind. So what is holding out? Well, the idea is to keep control of a contained area, like a room. The zeds will funnel into lanes, which ideally take the shape of long corridors that act as choke points in kill zones. However, in most maps you will have to kite after holdout is overrun. When you consider 6-man lobbies without working mics or ways of communicating, this becomes hard to coordinate, and it usually results in the team scattering around like rats trying to escape a trash compactor. My first tip is to either bind your voice comm keys or to use your in-game mic. Almost no one uses their mic in this game, or maybe the VoIP system is just broken. But hitting a keybind for a voice command is a semi-reliable way to get your teammates to know that you need to move together, or that you need help with your lane, that you need healing, a lot of things. When it comes to priorities, having a basic threat model in your brain is important. What is a threat model? Well, it's what poses the most threat to you or your team at one time, right? It's hard to explain, and you kind of have to develop an intuition for it. But essentially, the bigger and closer Zed is, or the more likely it is to do damage to you or a teammate, the more the team should try to kill or evade it. Since all Zeds are most dangerous at close range, the idea is to create space and breathing room around you, either by evading Zeds or killing them. This way, you'll be aware of all the threats, and also of how to eliminate them. Eliminating threats by order of priority and your perks role is extremely important. Another important principle is to avoid getting tunnel vision. Constantly scan for a lane that can become an escape route and what the situation of your teammates is. Too many times I and other bad players have just held a lane blindly while the rest of the team has left, so keep a general spatial awareness around you. Stay with your teammates as much as possible, but occasionally separation is inevitable when players become pinned. When this happens, sometimes you have to play solo for a bit instead of forcing the issue. Just remember that your priority should be your own safety, that you're no use to anybody dead. When your team is kiting around the map, it's important to occasionally look behind you. Make sure both your front and back are clear, because they're crucial parts of ensuring that you have breathing room and time to make decisions. Essentially, when you're kiting, in front of you is a lane and behind you is a lane, and it's important to make sure that both of these lanes are as clear as possible so your team can move together through them. Be aggressive and clear lanes, but don't be reckless and jump into a flesh pound's arms. If you want heals, you should stay within line of sight of your medic. Assume that you aren't getting healed ever, and don't play too recklessly. If you are the medic, stay within line of sight of your teammates to the best of your ability, but remember that you can't save everyone. Trying to save a lost cause most often results in team wipe. However, since symbiotic healing allows you to take quite a bit of damage, being an aggressive healer is definitely effective. My third point, developing skill. One of the most important skills is taking down large Zeds. Large Zeds in this game are kind of like hot potatoes. No one wants to aggro them, but they're really best killed before they are aggroed, and if not, as soon as possible. That's why taking down large Zeds is a skill in and of itself, and is possible with any class. The idea is to kill Scrakes and Fleshbounds as fast as possible, because they are, next to bosses, the biggest threat for wiping teams out. While there are plenty of demonstrations on YouTube for your viewing pleasure, with the exception of Berserkers, the basic principles are to keep distance, put bullets into the head, and switch weapons if out of bullets. Your mileage may vary, but it's important to practice these and be able to do them on the fly as your team needs with every class. Even trash clearing classes should learn these in the case of emergency. Reload cancelling and switching weapons after using your syringe are both ways to manipulate the animation system to be able to output more damage. Reload cancelling is pretty simple. Press R to initiate the reload. Hold down mouse 1 until the ammo counter in the bottom right hits 30. Once that happens, immediately tap the bash key. It's a bit faster than normal reloading and will save you a bit of time and add to your DPS. The faster you press the bash key, the closer you cut it to failing the reload. There is definitely diminishing returns, but if you get really good at it, you don't even need to wait until the ammo counter hits 30. Another thing you can do is called quick healing. Once your screen turns blue, switch to your main weapon. This also saves a bit of time. When it comes to Zeds, shooting all of them in the head is a good rule of thumb. For rioters, you want to shoot them in the legs, and for robots, shoot them in the chest. If you can manage, hitting a husk in the fuel tank gives you a free nade, but it might enrage larger Zeds. One last important thing that doesn't really have to do with the game itself. You ever look at the back of a video game case where it says the ESRB content rating, right? And below that it says online interactions are not rated by the ESRB? Well, that's exactly this game in general. Everybody already knows about the pride and accomplishment system where you buy a $250 key so that you can open a loot crate and get a 3-cent skin that you can sell for 1 cent profit on the Steam marketplace. Everybody already knows about that part. People don't know about the hidden loot box system that is the public lobbies in Killing Floor 2. It's like a sushi chef. You ever go to a Japanese restaurant and order omakase where they're supposed to just, leave it to the chef? Think about it like this. Sometimes the chef is going to hand you a $300 10-course meal with every kind of beautiful thing imaginable in this world, right? And sometimes the chef is just going to shit on a plate and hand it to you. That's the public lobbies in Killing Floor 2. There's really no better way to explain it. Sometimes your team is just going to gel and do everything correctly and there's literally nothing you can't beat and the game is so easy. Sometimes your team is just fucking rage-filled monkeys with rabies who just want to kill each other and literally stab each other to death if they were in the same room. There's really no in-between here. Some teammates will just be rabid monkeys. Some teammates can actually help you learn and get better. The most important thing is to improve, and you can do that even by losing. That's pretty much all the knowledge that I have to offer. I'm the first to admit that I suck at this game and haven't done much sweaty stat tracking or research outside of playing it. So if you have any disagreements or suggestions, go ahead and let me know. So that's about it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.